Money 105.5 with Glenn Spillman and Charlton Curry. This is Epic Sports Radio.
Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton Curry with my partner Glenn Spillman, Becca, and Big C. We are talking sports as we always do every Wednesday at 4 o'clock p.m. nationwide on the app and Salem Media with Epic Sports and Epic Sports Radio. Glenn, as you know, we love talking about football.
Love it.
We love talking about how everything changes on a call by a referee, as we talked about the Duke game in Miami.
The debacle, you mean?
Yeah, we have to get that cleared up.
Yeah.
And also, we know we're going to talk about basketball. Man, a big game tonight. Golden State at home. They're playing the L.A. Clippers over at Oracle Arena in Oakland.
Yep. I would also like to thank our sponsor for the show, Buns Sports Pub and Grub. They are located at 311 Judah Street in Roseville. If you want some more information about them, call them at 916-786-6655. Charlton, Beck, and I, we're going to be doing a lot of live remotes there. So when you go in there, call them, mention that you heard about it through Epic Sports Radio, and they're going to hook you up.
That's always a great place to go get a bite to eat. And now, as we know, NFL football's king. We just got rid of baseball.
Yep.
We had the World Series celebration with the Kansas City Royals and over 800,000 people in their parade attendance, so that was big for them. And also, what we really love, Glenn, Big C, we have him on the line. He's always someone that we can count on for big information. You know, we're making a movie, Sports and Athletes.
Yes, we are.
And Big C's been covering sports for over 40 years as a coach, as an athlete, and two-time All-Pro, and then on national radio and television. But there are a lot of things that you learn, Big C, when you cover sports and you know some of the angles that you do. And as we bring you on to talk about NFL football, I know in the running back position, we have an amazing running back, Gurley, for the Rams right now. He's averaging 6.1 yards a carry, but I know you love that story and also more things happening with NFL football. Big C, what do you have?
Guys, great to see you.
What's
once
up,
again
Big
this
C?
week. How you doing? How's the weather out there in California?
Hey, you know, it's good. It's a little chilly, but it's still good.
Actually, it rained one day, so I don't know if we like it too much now.
Well, we'll ship you some real rain here from the East Coast.
Sounds good. What you got, Big C? I think we lost Big C on the mic, but I know he'll come back in a second. But we were talking, Glenn, about NFL football.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we have a lot of things happening this week. Especially, I know you were talking about the point spread and some of the things we want to cover.
Yeah.
But we looked as a game tonight, the Cleveland Browns, they're 2-6. They're at Cincinnati, which is 7-0. And they look like the top team right now in the AFC along with Denver. What are your thoughts on that game, Glenn?
Well, you know, they got Manziel starting that game, and I don't think he's going to bring it. I think he's going to be a little rusty. I'm going to call, over-under on 3 sacks. I'm going to pick right at 3. So I think Bengals are going to come in. They're not going to just win. I think it's going to be a blowout on that one.
Well, I know Big C's really high on Andy Dalton. He's back on the line now. Big C, we were talking NFL football. We know that Cleveland's going to be playing at the Bengals, but you also had some stories you were talking about, and I want you to kind of finish up that conversation. We talked about the top running backs in the history of the league. Gurley looks like he might be one of them, but go ahead and take it away, Big C.
Well, when you look at Todd Gurley, right now he's wearing Lawrence McCutcheon's old number, and if people think back some years ago, Lawrence McCutcheon was the starting running back in the first Super Bowl for the Rams when they faced the Pittsburgh Steelers down in Pasadena.
Yes.
But right now, he reminds everybody of Eric Dickerson. The only difference between he and Dickerson right now is that number 29 and number 30, and Gurley is not running with any glasses. But this is a young running back that's running with reckless abandon and bad intentions, and there's not many defensive backs that want to take him on right now. But when we talk about great running backs, a lot of people don't realize that even though the World Series just ended, the Negro Baseball Hall of Fame is in Kansas City.
Yes.
And a great running back that's in that Hall of Fame is Jackie Robinson.
Yep.
Jackie Robinson played football at UCLA. He still holds the NCAA record for a running back who gained over 1,000 yards in a single season, averaging over 11 yards a carry, an astonishing number
big
when you
time.
look at a running back. Those numbers will never be duplicated again. But, even further in the Jackie Robinson story, one of his college teammates who was a great All-American Willie Strode, who played in the Canadian Football League, talked the greatest running back of all time into leaving football and going into acting, Jim Brown.
Wow, yeah.
He got him involved in some acting in the 60s. He found out he could make more money in 3 months that he made in an entire football season. And, he got involved in some spaghetti westerns along with Burt Reynolds, Raquel Welch. And if you think about Burt Reynolds, everybody sees his college football quarterback every Saturday on game day on ESPN, Lee Corso.
That's excellent knowledge. He was also, you mentioned Raquel Welch in that movie. And when you think about movies, I know Glenn's putting together a movie with the sports and models theme, so we'll be doing that. But Big C, as we get into this week in football, I know everyone saw the big game last week, the Green Bay Packers, and they went into Denver, and Peyton Manning actually outperformed the Packers. It's what happened there.
It blew my mind.
Oh, my God.
Well, you think about Peyton Manning outperforming the Packers. Who would have ever thought on a weekend that someone would have said that Matt Castle was a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers?
Oh,
Yeah.
Lord.
Aaron Rodgers only put up 77 yards in the game. That was the third lowest of his career. But, Peyton Manning, he had 2 weeks of rest. He had a chance to get a little healthy. He had been beat up for the past few weeks, but his defense, we'll always talk about Peyton Manning when we talk about Denver, but you have to give kudos to that defense. Von Miller,
Oh, they were amazing.
Marcus Ware, Ward, Khalid Teeb. These guys are playing lights-out football. Wade Phillips, the defensive coordinator, a former head coach in Denver,
Yes.
has done masterful job with that defense in Denver.
Well, another thing, too, when you look at some of the top teams, and I know the Packers, how will Aaron Rodgers respond? I know there's some things with officials going on, and he makes the commercial and all, but the Packers, they're 6-1 now. They had a test in Denver. They have to turn right back around, Glenn, and get on the road and go into Carolina where they'll face Cam Newton.
Yeah, that's going to be another tough one for him. I think they're still going to be limping a little bit from the game against Peyton Manning. They're the Panthers. They're the underdog in this game. I don't know why. The current line just changed to 2.5. I think the Panthers. It's going to be a good game, but I think the Panthers are going to take this one at home. I don't know if Rodgers could recover right now.
Big C, what are your thoughts on that going into Cam Newton territory?
Well, I look at the game that last week Green Bay had no ground attack. That hurts Aaron Rodgers. He is a great, prolific passer, but the run fake also helps him set up the passing game. Cam Newton right now, you can't vote against Cam. Superman is playing tremendous football, and they're at home in Carolina, and they have a great defense. They probably have two of the best linebackers in all of football in Davis and Kuechly. And so you have to keep an eye on those guys, and their pass rush has been getting to opposing quarterbacks.
Well, Big C, that's amazing. Also, now another game at the top of the NFL. We'll cover more of that as we come back, and we'll talk about the Washington Redskins on the road to face Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. When we come back, you'll have more on Epic Sports Radio every Wednesday at 4 o'clock p.m. on Money 105.5. Introducing a new generation of health and wellness, revolutionized and individualized. A company bold enough to ask why to the traditional way, who honors uniqueness of each individual and is committed to redefining the health and wellness industry through unmatched quality. Welcome to ID Life. Take your free ID Life assessment today. You're unique, so don't settle for cookie-cutter supplements. Join the ID Life movement today at pathtowellness.idlife.com. Contact Kim Cassetta, 916-996-1037.
My name is Lynn Hallbash. I'm a certified agent with Safe ID Trust. Here is an interesting fact. Most people insure their cars, homes, and valuables for their peace of mind and replacements. But in light of ID theft being the fastest growing crime in the world, they don't think about insuring their identities. But that's what we do at Safe ID Trust. We offer online ID monitoring with our Safe ID Trust Detective, wallet replacement service, 24/7 customer service, and much, much more. By having identity coverage, we restore your identity 100% to pre-theft status. We do all the work for you. You can contact me at 916-826-5762 and the web at safezone.safeidtrust.com.
If you're a homeowner and you're struggling with your mortgage payments, if your bank is giving you the runaround and you can't get a loan modification and attorneys are simply too expensive, contact NFA.
First, let's note that NFA has received a certification of registration from the California Attorney General's office and has a bond on file with the Secretary of State as required by law. NFA will inform homeowners of what their projected income and expenses and other info needs to be to have the best chance of receiving a loan mod. We will recommend qualifying income and expenses that will get them pre-qualified.
If your loan company is giving you the runaround and attorneys are simply too expensive, contact NFA at 916-896-5757. That is 916-896-5757. At Gamble Insurance Agency, we put the odds in your favor. We handle most or all of your insurance needs and act as your insurance advisor. We will put together a suitable buying strategy with your financial future in mind. We are an independent farmers agency. Call Kit Gamble for a free farmers-friendly review of your insurance policy at 530-772-5041. That is 530-772-5041.
Money 105.5 with Epic Sports Radio.
Welcome back to the show. My name is Charlton Curry with Glenn Spillman, Becca, and Big C. We talk NFL football every Wednesday at 4 o'clock p.m. And Glenn, you have an update.
Yes, I would like to thank Buns Sports Pub and Grub for sponsoring this show. Give them a call at 786-6655. We do a lot of live remotes there. Be sure to mention Epic Sports Radio when you go in. They'll hook you up.
And then also, Big C, talking about sports and talking about football, I know that you're always big on the Patriots. I know this is a time of year where the Miami Dolphins from 1972, they start to get a little bit nervous, wondering if their record's going to be intact of being the only undefeated NFL team. The Redskins going to the Patriots, is that a game, Big C, that they could overlook?
I don't feel that they can overlook it. You know, actually, Washington can actually save the gas money going there, realistically.
Yeah.
This is a game that, you know, this is the pros against those who want to be pros. That's
Pros
what you'll
against
see.
Joes.
That's what you'll see in this game. Bill Belichick is not going to have a letdown against an also-ran team. And Washington is one of those teams that's in disarray. This is take the Patriots, whatever points they're giving, Glenn, and just run
14.
with it. Run with it.
Yep.
Now, also, we talk about points, and I know Glenn's big on covering quarterbacks. We've had an happening here in the Bay Area with Colin Kaepernick, Big C. He's been replaced by Blaine Gabbert. Now, for people that talk about the quarterback's always the issue, here's a quarterback. When he was at Nevada, he's the only quarterback in NCAA history that rushed for 1,000 and threw for over 1,000 4 years in a row. He also, when he had a quarterback coach in Harbaugh, was good enough to take them to the NFC Championship games 2 years in a row and a Super Bowl. Now, a lot of those people that were there are gone, but they're trying to make him the scapegoat. What are your thoughts on Kaepernick being benched?
Well, the scapegoat starts in the front office with the 49ers. Right now you have 12 players that are not on the roster that were on the roster at the beginning of last season. You're going to replace Colin Kaepernick with Blaine Gabbert, who has a .23 QBR rating as a pro.
Ouch.
He was drafted behind Cam Newton. He was the fifth player taken in the first round that year. But he hasn't won 5 games as a pro in 4 years in the NFL. How can you replace Colin Kaepernick with a guy who can't even get out of the locker room?
I think they're scratching their heads on that one. I mean, I don't know if they know who they want to bring in. You know, I think it was kind of a wrong move to bench Colin Kaepernick, but I know he's kind of the scapegoat in this. You know, he's already got 5 interceptions. That's, you know, he's only had 6 TDs this year. Last year, he only threw 10 interceptions the whole year. You know, I'm blaming this one on the offensive line. I mean, you cannot put the whole blame on Colin Kaepernick here.
You're right, because if you don't have time to pass, Big C, if you're laying on the ground, it's hard to complete a pass.
Well, Glenn, you know, they have 3 new starting offensive linemen in San Francisco.
Yeah.
You have a new starting running back. The continuity of that offense just doesn't exist any longer. And then you have the tutelage of a Jim Harbaugh,
Yes.
who is able to calm down a quarterback and teach him. Jim Thomasula said everybody's under evaluation with the 49ers. He shouldn't even leave home if that's the case.
I think they're looking for a solution, but Tomsula, I know people want to pat the coach on the back and say, hey, give him more time, but they want to push the players to the side. But if you're a 49er fan or any team in the NFL, if you think that he's the solution, then I think you have a lot of work to do. And also, as we get back into the point spread, I know this is a game where the Titans at 1-6, they're at the Saints. And Drew Brees, it looks like he's trying to find his groove now, Big C.
Find his groove. You know, this man threw 8 touchdown passes last week. He only got credit for 7 because one of them went to the Giants. But right now, as a defense, you got to be sitting there shaking in your boots if New Orleans is coming to town. I mean, Drew Brees will light you up long and consistently.
And, Glenn, what do we have on the spread for that game, the Titans going to the Saints? Down in New Orleans, as you talk about the Houday crowd and the loud noise they make down there. And, of course, Manning and then Brees put on a big show last week. But I know this is a game right now. When you're 1-6 and you're coming into a game where the Saints need to win, they're in a division where they're not going to pass. They're not going to pass Carolina. But I know they're going to have a tough time going down there playing in front of that crowd with Drew Brees.
Yeah, you know, whenever you go into town against Drew Brees, I mean, it's always going to be a tough one. You know, the Saints, the line right now is 8.5. You know, with the way they played, and I know it was a close game last week. It was an epic game. But I think, you know, with the Titans coming in, 8.5, that's going to, in my mind, jump up to 14 because I think Drew Brees is going to be riding high and go off again.
Another intriguing game. If we look at the AFC East, the Miami Dolphins at 3-4. They're on the road at Buffalo, which started out very promising, Big C. They're 3-4, but they have a decent defense. What are your thoughts, Big C, on the Dolphins going into Buffalo and winning that game?
Well, when you look at Buffalo, they hit a hiccup when they lost their quarterback, Tyrod Taylor.
Yes.
That slowed down their offense. Both of their wide receivers have been inept this year, Sammy Watkins and Percy Harvin. Also, the running back has been, you know, a little nicked up this year, LaShawn McCoy. So they haven't had a full complement in their offense. Dan Campbell's rah-rah lasted for 2 weeks in the NFL.
Yes.
After that, you really got to strap it on. They also lost Cameron Wade, their top pass rusher last week, which is going to allow Buffalo's quarterback some time to get rid of the ball, whoever they play this week. I like Buffalo offensively in this game.
A game that I'm really excited to see. I love the running back position. We talked about Todd Gurley. You featured him earlier in the show. Maybe a prototype of an Eric Dickerson or a Lawrence McCutcheon. Maybe even Jim Brown's a stretch right now. But they're playing at Minnesota, and you have Adrian Peterson, 2 of the marquee running backs in the NFL. The Rams on the road at 4-3, going to Minnesota at 5-2. Big C, what are your thoughts on that? And then we'll get Glenn with the point spread.
Well, when you talk about marquee running backs, you have the number 1 and the number 4 rushers in the NFL going head-to-head this week. I like Minnesota because they're playing outside, and at this time you can get some chilly weather up north. They've had snow already this week. I like the Vikings and Teddy Bridgewater and in this game.
Yeah, the point spread's 2.5. I think it probably will jump up a little bit before the weekend comes, but yeah, I concur. I think the Vikings will take this one as well.
Yeah, the Vikings.
Now, one more game that's really intriguing. It's a West Coast team, East Coast team. We all talked about the immaculate reception with Franco Harris.
Yeah.
I mean, Terry Bradshaw, Mean Joe Green, Dwight White, Rocky Bleier, all the great players. The Oakland Raiders under Jack Del Rio, 4-3 on the road at the Steelers, which is 4-4. They have Big Ben back, Glenn. I don't know if he's ready for the type of defense the Raiders have been playing, but Big C, what are your thoughts on Carr as one of the hottest quarterbacks in the AFC going into Pittsburgh and winning that game with the Raiders?
Well, I think you got to give a lot of credit to Bill Musgrave, who's the quarterback coach. I mean, when you look at the entire coaching staff of the Oakland Raiders, all of these guys played in the NFL, and they've all coached in the NFL, especially on the defensive side. You got Rod Woodson, who is coaching in the secondary. You got Ken Norton Jr. People talk about Seattle's downfall.
Yes.
You have to look at the key pieces from Seattle that's gone.
Yes.
Ken Norton Jr. is another one of those pieces. The Raiders right now are on the upside. Pittsburgh, they lost Le'Veon Bell last week, so they're going to be searching for a running game. And we all saw Ben is not 100%. So I like the Raiders. Even going back east, I like the Raiders.
Okay, Becca, you're torn between this one because you're kind of a Steelers fan, you're kind of a Raiders fan. Real quick, tell me who you got.
I have to go with the Raiders this time because
You better go with the
yeah.
Raiders this time. The opening, the Raiders.
Even though Steelers, I've been, kind of voting, rooting for them, but I think the Raiders got it this time.
The Steelers opening line, they're actually favored by 6, but currently, right now, they're -4. And I think that's going to drop down to probably 2.5, 3. Raiders are going to go in. They're going to take this one. I'm going to say Raiders 21, Steelers 10.
Becca, don't let these guys try to intimidate you. Stand up for yourself.
She has a terrible towel in the studio, the terrible towel from the 70s. Speaking of terrible, I know the New York Giants, and everyone loves New York. There was a time when the New York teams all played in the Polo Grounds. There was the Giants, the
Yankees.
Jets, the Yankees, and then you have the Dodgers and also the Giants out here in San Francisco now. But Eli Manning, Big C, you talked about how many yards he put up against New Orleans last week. They're on the road again to play Tampa Bay. Now, Tampa Bay got the lucky win, Glenn, against Atlanta last week.
You know what? I was watching that game closely. The guy I was sitting next to, he's an Atlanta fan. And you know what? In the half, they had 18 seconds left. They had 2 timeouts, and I'm speaking of Atlanta. No one called a timeout. They had a chance to do at least 2 plays. They did nothing but walk off the field. That was stupid. And you know what? The Buccaneers, they just came in. They just kept going and kept going and kept going, and they ended up winning the game. And you know what? Atlanta, I'm sorry, guys. You guys just sucked it up on that one.
Yeah, they had a big chance to make a lot of ground there facing Carolina. Big C, again, how does Atlanta look to you? Being an East Coast guy, the media hits them hard. But Atlanta and their $100 million quarterback, when they're going into San Francisco this week, they're 6-2. Now, they're playing the 49ers. We talked about their issues at 2-6, replacing their quarterback. Atlanta, is this a must-win game for them traveling across the country?
This is a real must-win game for Atlanta. When you look how they laid an egg against Tampa Bay last week, I mean, Tampa Bay had them down, 17-0, Glenn, at one point in the game?
Yeah.
They just dominated the game, and they were playing catch-up all week long. Now, San Francisco, as we talked about earlier, starting Blaine Gabbert, hasn't started the game in 3 years in the NFL. If they walk in and lose to San Francisco this week, they might as well pack it up because they won't beat anybody else for the next month.
No, I think there's no way the 49ers are going to win this game. I'm sorry. I don't think they can get it done. I think the rest of their season is just tanked. But again, if the Falcons come in and lose, forget about it.
And also, when you think about football, we're going to transition over to the college scene. We have the Broncos playing the Colts, the Eagles and Cowboys and the Bears at the Chargers on Monday night. But this time of year, college football, Glenn, they're bringing out their rankings.
Yeah.
They're ranking the top teams now based on their performance so far, even though a lot of the big teams are going to play each other at the end of the second half of the season.
Yeah.
And coming into the top 25, we have Clemson. And, Big C, I want your thoughts on this. Clemson ranked number 1. They have LSU at number 2. Ohio State dropped to number 3. They haven't lost a game since they lost to Virginia Tech 2 years ago. And then Alabama ranked number 4. They're playing the LSU this week, Big C.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Clemson give up 46 points last week against North Carolina State, an unranked team? Also, they only beat Notre Dame about 3 weeks ago by 2 points.
Yes.
And you take that record and you leapfrog the teams that were in front of them, especially Ohio State, who hasn't played the greatest of football.
Right.
But how do you take a team, even though they can score points, but they give up almost as many as they score? I really don't understand that leapfrog. It reminds me of Florida State last year, who had gone 2 years without losing a game.
Yes.
But they were only ranked number 4 during the playoff rankings, just like Ohio State.
Yes.
Yeah, the funny thing is the Clemson coach is boasting right now that he's going to promise pizza for 80,000 fans if the Tigers make the playoffs. And that's going to be funny to me. Who's going to pay that bill?
I'm sure there's a big money booster somewhere down in the South that can write
Papa
that.
John's is popular back east.
I'm sure they are. And now also,
they'll be going to Little Caesars.
There you go, Little Caesars.
All right, Big C, Fournette. We talked about Gurley. We talked about the great Jim Brown. Fournette looks like he's already NFL ready at LSU, playing against the Alabama defense. Nick Saban will have the guys ready. What are your thoughts? To me, that could be the national championship in advance.
Well, I don't know. One of these teams will eliminate the other team from the national championship hunt.
Yeah.
They both are ranked in the top 4. The loser of this game will fall out because there's too many teams sitting there between 5 and 8 that deserve it of being in the national championship race. Fournette's a great running back.
Yes.
But you got to also look at Ezekiel Elliott at Ohio State.
Yes.
Gets no credit. And this guy last year during the playoffs averaged close to 200 yards a game
In the playoffs.
in the national championship
Yeah,
run.
you're right.
And he hasn't fallen off the pace. If you look at the yardage between he and Fournette, there's only 100 yards difference between these two running backs. But I like Alabama in this game. Right now, Nick Saban has caught his stride. I mean, we've seen over the past 3 years where he's lost one game in every other year.
Yes.
But right now, there's no team in the SEC playing better than Alabama.
And when they have the ball, Henry, he's a stud also. He can match Fournette yards for yards. Glenn, what are your thoughts on the point spread in that game? It's a big game nationwide.
Well, they're rolling the point spread right now, so give me a minute on that. They're updating that because it's blinking orange for me, so give me just a second on that.
And as Glenn's looking up that point spread, Big C, we talked about crowds and how much football is important, not just in the South, but all over the United States. We'll have nearly 100,000 fans or more at the game. Talk about how important it is in the South when they talk about crowd support and people that actually turn out to see these big sporting events.
Well, you think about both of those stadiums at LSU and Alabama. Both of those stadiums seat 103,000 fans.
Yes.
Not counting the 25 to 30,000 that are outside the stadium that can't get in. They keep jumbotrons outside those stadiums just for the fans to be there to enhance the noise. It is a motivating factor for a player. I mean, you actually feel it all the way through your bones when you walk into an arena and you hear all those cheering fans, whether they're for you or against you. The emotion and the endorphin wait to hit somebody and play a great game.
Exactly. And then, Glenn, your thoughts?
Yeah, the point spread just went down. It was 7. It went down 1 point to 6. Alabama's favored by 6 points. But, it's a flip of a coin what Alabama team that you're going to have come into this game. But I think that they're going to step up. They're in home. They got the fans on their side. And I think this is a must-win for them.
Glenn, just to touch on that a little bit further.
Yes.
The quarterback for Alabama, Croker, this is a make-or-break game for him in his career. He's a big kid, about 6'5", a transfer from Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
But he has not played lights-out football that they expected since he came there. This is a game that will be a decisive game in his legacy at Alabama.
Well, Big C, we appreciate that very much. We're going to take a quick break as we finish up on college football. We know when the playoffs start, this is when everyone gets excited because sometimes, Glenn, people put money on the game.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just about your favorite team. It's about how much money is in or out of your pocket.
It's about smart picks.
It's the smart picks. So we'll come back with more on college football on Money 105.5.
From the Big Mountain Heating, Air, and Solar Traffic Center, Charlie Simons.
Let's start in Roseville because that's where the trouble is. 80 heading westbound at Douglas Boulevard. We have an accident blocking the shoulder, but it's got traffic backed up on 80 and on 65 southbound trying to get out of Roseville. Starting at Blue Oaks Boulevard, it's going to be slow going until you get past Douglas. And the other direction, 80 eastbound, that starts slowing down about Richards Boulevard coming out of Davis. Over the Yellow Causeway, you're moving okay, only to hit the brakes again. And West Sac until you get past Norwood Avenue across the top of town. 50 and the Business 80 portion of the Capital City Freeway. Both directions, very slow, mostly stop. And that's along its entire span. I'm Charlie Simons.
Hi, Lenny Sansone here with I-24 Fit Club. I want to invite you to join us for afternoon recess on Friday afternoons at 4 p.m. We have tons of fun talking about health and fitness and even some unique places to visit in the Sacramento area, all during your evening commute. Area experts, including our own personal Mythbuster, Dr. Sean Patterson, will play some interactive games and a comedy minute that will be sure to give you a laugh. Join us on Friday afternoons at 4 at Money 105.5.
Carpeting made from New Zealand wool is on sale until November 30th. Wool is natural, beautiful, long-lasting, and easy to maintain, with many styles, textures, and patterns.
If wool carpeting is not your cup of tea, Shawmark Anything Goes nylon carpeting is still on sale with the finest no mat, no crush warranty in the business and up to $5 off per yard until December 7th. If you like beautiful hardwood floors, Mirage Hardwood has a 50-cent per foot rebate on all standard qualities. What a beautiful way to prepare your home for the holidays and save money, too. Waldo Bauer's showroom at 2300 Broadway is more than a flooring store. It's a one-stop decorating destination. You can find quality, affordable wallpaper and window coverings and every type of flooring. 0% financing for 12 months is available on approved credit. Call 451-0114, 451-0114, or go to waldobauersfloorcovering.com.
Here's a Whitaker file, sir.
Carol.
Yes?
Something's changed.
You can feel it?
You used to bring the coffee.
And you used to drink it. We had a great run.
Oh my, are you gonna say we're through? How am I gonna find the perfect employee to fill your shoes?
Not so hard. All you have to do is log on to SacramentoHelpWanted.com.
What? Where? Who?
I'll tell you who. SacramentoHelpWanted.com. You can post a job in minutes and start getting resumes immediately and find the perfect local employee.
How am I ever gonna live without you?
Sir, you'll live just fine. Frankly, I am tired of singing 8 hours a day.
Whoa.
The best place to find a qualified local employee? SacramentoHelpWanted.com. Long name, amazing results.
I'm Pat Barr.
I'm Don Padilla, financial advisors with Wells Fargo Advisors in Sacramento. Pat, since the market crash in 2008, I've observed that too many investors are unsuccessfully trying to time the market. They don't want to lose. They are waiting for the perfect time to invest, which never seems to come.
Yeah, they're stuck on the sidelines, wasting opportunity. If you find yourself in that position, please call us at 916-275-8100. That's 916-275-8100.
Wells Fargo Advisors, LLC, member SIPC, is a registered broker-dealer and a separate non-bank affiliate of Wells Fargo & Company.
Half of the United States population follows sports in some form or fashion. Sports is a billion-dollar industry. If you're not advertising with a sports team, you are simply missing the boat. Boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. EpicNewsSports.com is your doorway to helping your customers follow sports. Whether it's pro, college, or prep sports, it is a great investment of your advertising dollar. With half of the country following sports, you can too by visiting EpicNewsSports.com.
This is Epic Sports Radio on Money 105.5 and Money1055.com.
Welcome back to the show. My name is Charlton Curry with Glenn Spillman and Becca Wright and Big C. We love finishing up this segment on college football. And Glenn, I know that Big C covers the SEC, but we have Florida at Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Florida's had a quarterback change. We know they've had some issues this year, but what is the point spread in that game, Glenn?
You know, even with the change, they have Florida at 20.5 points. Over-under's a little low at 37.5. You know, I'm taking Florida on this one big time.
Big C, what are your thoughts? I know you follow big-time SEC football. They've had some great athletes coming out of the South. What are your thoughts on Florida making a run at the SEC? They're 7-1 on the season.
Well, you got to look at Florida from the defensive side. They have a tremendous defense. They lost their starting quarterback, but in the first two games of the season, both quarterbacks split time before they decided on Driscoll being the starting quarterback.
Yes.
I like Florida. Vanderbilt has a very anemic offense. Take the points.
Iowa is one of the most unsung teams out there. They're undefeated. They're on the road at Indiana, but we'll pass over them like everybody else has because the big game, Glenn, as we finish up on the college football, TCU, we know they were knocked out of the playoffs last year, but they're ranked number 8 in the country. They're also 8-0 in the season. They're playing another 8-0 team in Oklahoma State, and they don't have
Oklahoma
a conference
who?
championship. Oklahoma State.
I didn't know Oklahoma had another football team other than the Sooners.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that point spread? We talked about the over-under on that, Glenn, too.
Oh, yeah.
Might not be big enough.
Well, you know what? TCU's favored by 5.5. I think they're going to cover that big time. Over-under is 76.5. Yeah, I think it's going to be more like 85-90.
Isn't that the halftime over and under?
Yeah.
That's the halftime, Big C.
Yeah, big time, yeah.
So, Big C, as we close out on college football, we know you like TCU. They have a great quarterback. What are your thoughts on that game? Should be a shootout down in the South with TCU at Oklahoma State.
If you talk about a real Heisman favorite, that's Trevon Boykin, the quarterback at TCU. People forget that as a freshman, he was a wide receiver. But now he is the most elite complete quarterback right now in college football. When Baylor lost Petty, Boykin catapulted into the best quarterback in college football. And when we talk about the over, I could see this game ending up, Oklahoma State scored 54, 56 points last week.
Easily.
TCU scored about 67.
Yes.
I look at the over being about 105 on this game.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. If you're a defensive player, you might want to get some special water, as you're going to need that to stay hydrated in that game.
You know, that's a perfect segue into what we're going to talk about next, man. We've got Jake Weathers in studio. We've got Ruthie Bolton on the phone. Jake Weathers is a former All-Star for the Fresno Pacific basketball team. He scored over 20 points per game. This guy is a beast. He kind of looks like Carl Weathers a little bit. I better be nice to him. He's going to beat me up if I don't. But, hey, you know what? I talked to Jake several times. I've tried his water, the rescue water. And, you know, I don't talk about anything that I don't like. And when I tried this and I got his story, I'm going to let him tell you. I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to let him tell you what's going on with this, why he did this. And go ahead, Jake.
Yes. Rescue Sports Water is something that, like he said, I played basketball at a high level. And I know about, as far as getting dehydrated is something that is serious. Kids is happening across the nation. Kids is getting dehydrated and catastrophic events is happening, and we're trying to prevent that from happening. And you needed right now, if you look at the market when it comes to hydration, you have sports drinks and you have water.
Right.
It's a void in the market right now, and we fill in that void. How can you just have water and replenish your electrolytes? Truly replenish your electrolytes. So Rescue Sports Water is the only water that has 50 milligrams of potassium in it, so it can help prevent dehydration. And another thing, one thing about everyone is dehydrated on some type of level, especially when you wake up in the morning. You dehydrate.
Yeah.
That's why they tell you to drink 6 to 8 cups of water.
In the
morning,
right,
because when you breathe at night, you lose water. Okay,
Yeah.
So when you wake up, you're pretty much dehydrated. So this is the right way to start your day off as far as getting hydrated.
And this just isn't about sports water. It's about sports. It's about athletes. We have Ruthie Bolton on the phone. Ruthie, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, Ruthie, I'm sure you get approached by a lot of people, and I'm sure you've had those sports drinks in your career, and you've drank this rescue water, and I'm sure you're drinking it now, and a lot of people have approached you. What made you try this, and what made you keep drinking it?
Well, first, it's a great name, Rescue Water, and plus I'm a high-trained athlete, and I know how important training is. I know how important training is.
You're fading out a little bit, Ruthie.
I know how important training is, and so I have to make sure that I stay hydrated. And Rescue Water, I still play on 3-on-3.
Right.
It's very important that I continue to drink water, and Rescue Water is a great water for me, and I use it, and it's been very important to me.
Right. So you know what, Jake? Tell us. We're talking about a couple stories where some athletes have actually died during practice, and tell us the reason why and what could have been prevented.
Right. One thing about electrolytes, one thing we got to understand, electrolytes send electric shock waves to keep our heartbeat going. Potassium is the main electrolyte you need to have in your system. If you take in too much sodium, not enough potassium, that's how you end up with high blood pressure. High blood pressure is reversible, by the way, if you change your diet. If you take in more potassium than sodium. So it's in control of your heartbeat. So like I said before, this is the organic way to get potassium back in your system, because like I said before, sports drinks have all kind of sugar, and one thing about sugar, it takes water out of your system into your gut, which leaves you more dehydrated. So you get dehydrating yourself when you drink sports drinks most of the time. So this is the best organic way so your body can absorb the electrolytes.
Now, we also talked, Jake, earlier. You talked about some of the NBA talent that you've played with or worked out with, too, because you also are a corporate fitness trainer. Talk about some of their reactions, some of the players you're talking about and their reaction after drinking the water.
Yes. Like I said, I played at a high level after college. I played in a lot of summer NBA pro camps, and, I played with Matt Barnes. He's a local here, Bobby Jackson, And they all talk about being hydrated. I'm talking about being hydrated. Athletes as a whole is trying to find a way how to hydrate better because everybody is trying to be healthier and they looking for a more healthier alternative other than sports drinks.
And we've heard of Keith Jackson, and he also pushed big time on Gatorade, and we know the commercial. And all the kids now, they want to go out and get the Gatorade. After they play a game, they want to put Gatorade into their bodies. What would be your message to the athletic trainers nationwide, whether it's pro, college, or high school teams, about the importance of this?
Yes. One thing, like I said, about sports drinks, the best thing to do, the best organic way, anything that's human made when it comes to food or drinks is usually not good for you, like sodas, right? Okay, everything's about balance. Okay, if you drink too much soda,
got a lot of sugar.
Right, if you
It's
drink
horrible.
too much Gatorade, it can pollute your system. So the best way to hydrate and replenish your electrolytes, I'll give you a couple examples. Apple juice, orange juice, it's natural. Dilute apple juice or orange juice, even though it has the sugar in it, and it's better than sports drinks because it's natural. Therefore, your body can absorb the electrolytes, or drink Rescue Sports Water because it doesn't have the sugar and it has the potassium that you need.
Right. Hey, Ruthie,
Can you tell us the
how long have you
nutritional
been
parts?
drinking this Rescue Water?
Hold on this second right here with the red light.
Okay. Hey, Jake, why don't you tell us?
Jake, I see in the nutritional facts it's got the magnesium and calcium. That's important for women.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
important.
That's part of your electrolytes.
And it helps you with your injuries and things like that too.
Right.
Yes. It's great.
Yeah. Now, if you could just give one little nugget and something that you want to say to people about the Rescue Water, about hydration, and about sports, what would that be?
My thing is because one thing about hydration, a lot of people think when you dehydrate it, you need just water. You need more than water when you dehydrate it. You need potassium back in your system.
Right.
And if
Right.
you're lacking potassium, your body will let you know. It'll start shutting down. You'll start cramping up. You'll start feeling nauseous. You start feeling weak. And that's when something catastrophic can happen, especially with athletes because they sweat. And when you sweat, you lose potassium.
Okay. Now, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, how they can get this sports water.
Yes, once again, you can get a hold of me. Once again, my name is Jake L. Weathers. You can go to rescuesportswater.com or you can call us at 916-807-3815. 916-807-3815.
All right. Thanks, Jake.
I tell you, Jake, I do a lot of dancing and stuff, on a dance team, and we do like 4 hours straight and whatever. This is great for other, activities as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
and another thing that you want to be aware of, don't get misled by other waters. Some water says that it has electrolytes in it. Always look at the nutrition facts on the back. That will tell you the truth about the nutrition. Because if it says zero, zero means zero. Zero means it does not have electrolytes in it. That means it has electrolytes in it for taste, but it doesn't have electrolytes in it like our water does.
All right. We're going to
Thank you
move
very
on
much,
to baseball here. I know baseball is over, but you know what? I want to congratulate the Kansas City Royals. After 30 years,
Yes, the
they're finally
Royals.
bringing a ring home. George Brett was in New York celebrating with the guys. And one other quick story, we got the Washington Nationals that hired Dusty Baker. Charlton, I was kind of curious on that. Why didn't the Dodgers make more of a move for that?
And that's weird because Dusty Baker has taken the Giants to the World Series. They
Yeah.
also played in the Pacific Division. He's also taken the Chicago Cubs and turned them around. We know about the fan that reached out and grabbed the ball.
Yeah,
but Dusty's
idiots.
a local person from Sacramento. He's a California guy, but he has a ton of baseball knowledge. I know he was on the broadcast talking about baseball for the playoffs, but I think it's going to be a nice move for the Washington Nationals.
Yeah.
He brings a lot of experience. He doesn't have Barry Bonds, but he does have the insight and how to play and manage the game.
He's got Jason Worth now. He's the white Barry Bonds, I think. But you know what? He's got to control that locker room. He's got to, if Papelbon comes back and, he's got to control that locker room and put a smackdown on those guys. But, we got some interesting things going on in the NBA. We're going to talk a little bit about West Coast, a little about East Coast. We got the Kings. We support these guys, but they are 1-3. Kind of dismal. You got the Lakers who are 0-4. That's just pathetic. I don't know what happened to the Black Mamba. Like I said before, it's more like a garden snake coming out.
Well, wait a minute. His check's still cash.
It is.
They haven't bounced.
No.
So he's going to keep playing as long as they keep giving him the paychecks to play the game. Kobe, I do want to give Kobe a lot of credit because he came right out of high school.
He did, yeah.
And he knows the game inside and out, but there comes a point in time where your body can't hold up. But
Right.
he's done it for a long time, and he has the championship rings to show, but they're going to have to start looking at the youth to build the Lakers organization again.
Yeah, they do. Maybe Kobe needs some of this rescue water, man. An interesting the game I'm going to watch, and I want to see. You got two undefeated teams. You got the L.A. Clippers, Golden State Warriors. Warriors are only favored by 8 points. I think Curry's going to be raining down threes in Oakland. What do you think, Charles?
Well, they're both 4-0. You have Curry, you have Thompson. They can shoot the lights out. When Draymond Green can hit threes, Iguodala, you know what he brings off the bench. The Clippers at 4-0. Chris Paul, DeAndre Jordan. Blake Griffin is good in the regular season, but he seems to fade when it comes time to playoffs. I like Golden State in this game.
I do too. And a couple sad stories on the East Coast. You got Brooklyn and Philly. They're both 0-4. I don't know what they're going to do to turn around the season.
Well, they're going to have to keep playing. But no matter what happens on the East, it's going to be Cleveland coming out of there with LeBron James, Kevin Love.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Golden State, OKC in the West, San Antonio, or the Clippers are right there as well, Glenn.
Yeah, the Clippers, I got to go with my boy Blake Griffin. He's an OU guy, and I got to support him. But you're right. When they get to the playoffs, I don't know what happens to them. I think they just flip a switch, and they're like playing in the dark. And I know it's early. The season just started.
Yes.
Charlton, I want to hear from you. Give me your pick for the NBA Finals. Who do you got?
Well, I'm telling you, LeBron James and Kevin Love, if they can find some chemistry, they'll probably come out of the East. I know Toronto's good. Atlanta's
If Love
good.
can stay healthy.
If Love can get the love out of LeBron, they'll probably come out of the East. But in the West, it's so loaded. It's hard to repeat, even though it's easy to say Golden State. OKC looks like they're hungry, and San Antonio, they have the experience.
They do. You know what? I'm going with Golden State this time. You know what, Jake? You're a basketball guy. Tell me who you got.
Coming out of the East or the West?
Anyone. You tell me who you want to see in the NBA Finals.
Most likely it's going to be LeBron again.
Okay.
Because like LeBron said, he's the best basketball player in the world. I believe he made that statement.
Do you think he can close the deal, though, if he makes it this time?
Yes, with Kyrie Irving, I believe.
And again, Kyrie, he needs to stay healthy.
Right.
Becca, who do you got in the NBA Finals? Real quick, who do you got? That's funny. I picked the same.
Don't ask me right now.
Okay. You know what? I think that basketball season is going to be very interesting. I think there's going to be a lot of teeter-tottering.
It is.
Golden State, they're coming out strong. Sacramento, I think
Curry.
George Karl, he needs to light a fire under these guys. And you know what? Cousins, he's been doing good this year. He can't carry the team on his shoulders. And I think Rondo, he needs to step up just a little bit more. But Charlton,
Well, Glenn, the Kings are a work in progress.
They
know
are.
that Coach Karl has been in the playoffs over 25 years out of his years of coaching in basketball, nearly 29 years.
Yeah.
And Cousins is injured. Rudy Gay is an all-star. Rondo has a ring.
He does.
But they have to find the chemistry. And let's keep in mind, they're in the West. If they were a team that's in the Eastern Conference,
it'd be a different story.
It'd be a different story because you can get into the Eastern Conference playoffs with 36 wins, maybe 38. In the West,
That's
you're
funny.
going to have to be about 40, 44 wins in the Western Conference. So even though the Kings are young, they have a lot of promise, they have a great coach, they still have to play in order to get to the playoffs. They got to beat teams in the West. And you're talking about Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
You're talking
That's
about
gonna be
beating the
hard.
Clippers. And then you have San Antonio. Memphis is very strong. Houston and New Orleans. So where do they find a spot in the playoffs, Glenn?
I don't know. You know what? I think, they're going to turn it around. I really do. But you know what? Speaking of the Spurs, now, if the Spurs, say, win it again this year, do you think Duncan is gone? Do you think Ginobili is gone? Do you think Popovich will just hang up and say goodbye and they're going to ride off into the sunset?
I think when you're making the kind of money that they're making, even if you don't play, who's going to walk away from $20 million? If you're listening to the program anywhere in the country, who makes $20 million in your life?
Yeah.
Just like Sam Jackson has a great commercial, and it's called "What's in Your Wallet." I'm
Yeah.
not going to mention the product, but when you look at what's in your wallet, and the fact that a lot of athletes are broke about 3 to 5 years after they finish playing the game, and I know that you're talking about the movie
Yeah.
that you're producing with athletes and models.
Yeah.
We know that everybody's looking for work. Just because you had $50 million or
Yeah.
$100 million, it doesn't mean you have it now, Glenn.
That's true. You know, the movie that we're going to be doing next year, we're actually doing 2 of them. And you know what, guys? We are looking for actors for this film. We're looking for a lot of extras. You can get in contact with me at glenn@epicnewssports.com. Also, you could follow us on every social media platform, Epic News Sports. And you know what, Charlton? This movie's going to be exciting. We got a lot of really top-name actors that are going to be in this, and I'm excited about it. And I'm asking for anyone that's listening out there, you know what? We're looking for $100 million.
That's chump change for Donald Trump.
It is,
That's
you
not
know,
enough money.
Donald, if you're listening, I know you were on the herd the other day. If you're listening, you know, throw me a bone, brother.
We're on Salem Media, and so people have the money. You invest into a project, and it makes sense. But it just goes back to what we talked about before. And this is big business. When
Yeah.
you're in motion picture making,
Yeah.
we're not just doing a national radio show.
Yeah.
Big C talked earlier about Jim Brown and how he got into acting.
We might even get him.
Might get Jim Brown.
Yeah.
Raquel Welch, Burt Reynolds, and then Lee Corso. He's on ESPN every weekend. They also started in the movies. So with what we can do, with what we do every Wednesday, is we're not just looking for people who love sports.
Yeah.
We know that half the country watched the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah.
If you're an advertiser, if you don't back a sports program, you need to get someone else in charge of your advertising because half of the country follows sports teams. With the movie coming out, I think it's going to do a lot of things to let a lot of people know that there's more than just sports. There's also acting and modeling, and we'll bring that to you on Epic News Sports.
Yeah, and once again, I'd like to thank Buns Sports Pub and Grub for sponsoring the show. Contact them in Roseville. Again, remember to tell them that you heard about it on Epic Sports Radio.
That's every Wednesday at 4 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Money 105.5, where you get all the sports and entertainment that you need and more on epicnewsports.com.
We will see you next Wednesday, 4 p.m.
Next Wednesday.
Peace out. We love you.